Undergrunt.
Here we go. Reckon you can handle it.
What do you think? Reckon you can find that bird?
Yeah, I think I know where it is.
Seem to remember it was a pretty beautiful place.
Yeah, majestical. Come on, let's go. Don't slow me down, old fella.
You keep up with yourself, young player. Get in my way, I'll have your guts for goddess.
I honestly don't know what guts for goddess is, so...
Those gangsta talk.
Yeah, we didn't choose the Skux life. The Skux life chose us.
Yeah!
In a small little ship in the center of Mars was a sack of souls with experiment scars. When the psychedelic monk said, I'll take two, and he put them in a rocket and he ate a lot of glue. And he shot them straight to Earth where they turned into babies. They were named from that, and they rarely got rabies. And the monk made a movie of their whole entire lives. They were panoramic scenes and zooms of the time. One time Bob had sex with a ladle, and one time Matt lost a vet to a cradle, and another time Bob caught a dinosaur mom, and another time Matt bought a replica of Guam. And all this and more is on a DVD set, only $20.99 with the purchase of a gem. But if you call right now and say, where's my whisk, we'll include this bonus disc.
Hey! Welcome to Bonus Disc! I'm your host, Bob Rose, and with me is Matt P.A.
Hi.
And with us again for the second time after almost like 2 years.
Has it been that long?
It's been that long. It's John Walker from Movie Schmovie. How you doing,
fellas?
Yeah,
You're-
watched. What did we watch last time?
Let's-
That awesome movie, Hawkeye.
Yeah. It was you and Ronald were here.
Yes.
Yeah, we just...
Hawkeye, the Asian.
we had
cop.
Ronald back for
Action
Santa Buddies, which we... Man, we apologized a few
To
times.
him, it was same deal for you. We got
You didn't
we got you guys
yeah.
both on separately to watch two separate movies that have no plot whatsoever.
Well, I feel
Man,
like that was a different...
yeah.
Ronald knew he was stepping in like almost like military service to help you guys get through the Air Bud.
The Air Bud franchise.
Series.
This
Right.
was worse because his was basically just like cute dogs in snow for 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was like I felt bad because I was like I would on any other circumstance would never have made Ronald watch that movie on ever ever.
There's
That
no
was
re-
like the one
I would
time
never want to. I'd be like, I need to know his opinion on this. Like,
I felt bad
waste.
about
It was a
We
waste.
both did.
and
yeah.
we wasted you on this one because there's nothing.
Well, this to
going
me
on.
is at least overtly more interesting because it's just a thing that exists in this world without explanation. And we watched on Amazon Prime. We watched Midnight Warrior. Right? It's not plural, right?
no.
You guys, they were saying
Well, the
different
song,
names.
The song's pluralized.
We'll get to the
but-
song that we hear a lot. We watched a PM Entertainment movie. Bonus This loves PM Entertainment. Ever since the channel got taken down, a little sad. But good news is there's a lot of PM Entertainment on Amazon Prime.
There
so
seems to be. I saw Wings Hauser's big old fucking head.
yeah.
It's good times.
So that's good to know for the future. But today we watched Midnight Warrior. God, what is wrong with me now? You guys screwed me up on this stuff.
The prequel to Nightcrawler.
Yeah, no, seriously, this is like Nightcrawler 1989. And wow, the sequel was better.
Yeah,
I love Nightcrawler.
Yeah,
like
I
I
do
think
too.
Nightcrawler is a great fucking movie.
This is not good. I mean, to call this a movie, it's weird. It's like a really long episode of a TV show
Of Wishbone.
Yeah.
If Wishbone
my
didn't
God.
have any dogs in it and was
And
about
people killed
crime
themselves.
and raping people and awful things that no one should have to watch, that's what we watched.
But with the same synth woodwind soundtrack, you know. That's
Oh,
And the
of
shots,
Wishbone.
Yeah, right.
man. Like some of the shots, you're just like, I feel like I'm watching a PBS show.
It's
like
It's like the crew of Ghost Rider had nights off. So they were like, so just point the camera here and just say things.
And like
until we done.
2.5 locations, maybe.
Right.
You know.
Okay, so let's get into it. Because the opening scene, I feel, is the reason that we took Matt's recommendation to watch this, and I will blame Matt.
No, this is my fault.
This is your fault.
100%. I was all excited to watch this.
You were super excited.
It's terrible. It's nothing.
I think it had.
I thought there was going to be a plot eventually. It didn't happen.
There's a runtime with images.
So you had some foreknowledge of this. What was your experience of Midnight Warrior before today?
I watched it on YouTube while I was doing something else up until the music video that we'll get to. And then I was like, this is amazing. This is insane. It's so stupid. Because at that point, I was like, well, I still don't know what this is about, but I'm sure it's coming soon. You know what I mean? But it never did.
After watching it, I can see how up until the moment you're talking about, which we'll get to,
because it's only like 15 minutes.
There'd be hope that it would get nuts and like more interesting,
or that there's a through line. That there's like a single storyline that's building.
Right.
It's just kind of a montage of scenes almost with these weird little interludes.
It's like Every Man. What was that movie? A Simple Man. It's like, it's not about.
Oh, the Coen Brothers movie where they admitted it doesn't even have a point.
Yeah, it's just
because everyone was trying to figure that movie out, and if you listen to the commentary, they're like, "Well, yeah, the opening parable, the Jewish parable, means nothing, and the ending of the movie really doesn't have any specific meaning." And I was just like, what point in your career when you can just go, it didn't really have a point?
Well, that surprises me.
We're not equating this to Coen Brothers.
Yeah.
Let's just say that right now.
Hell no. Good Lord. But I'm just saying, it's like that. It's like that Nick Bronca lives, and we see a slice of his life. You know what I mean?
I want a bumper sticker that says Nick Bronca lives.
No, he's the hero. He's the hero. Quotation
That's like
marks.
they took the 80s lead guy name generator and they just tapped the button and it came up with Nick
What
Bronca.
if it wasn't a Bronco? It was a Bronca.
And there's his sidekick Sam who disappears from the movie about 2/3 in.
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think if we can get there without being confused.
It starts with like a blank screen. It's like a title screen, and like the credits are going, and you hear
like police radio
Nick and Sam like listening to a radio, being like, "It's like we're gonna fire, blah blah blah," and then Sam's like, "What about that one?" He's like, "Nah." And
it's really boring, and it happens for about
waving off
3-4 minutes.
Yeah.
It happens for a while.
And it's really the kind of thing, too, that the credits are rolling, and it's kind of important. What you just described is important stage setting to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And there's almost no way to know you're supposed to be paying attention to that at that point. We had the subtitles on, which I think helped.
Well,
the subtitles, the badly written subtitles.
There were lots of typos, and there was some two confusion. Which two they had throughout the subtitles. But that part, I think, if I had not seen the subtitles, I wouldn't have grasped that these were the characters we were following that were talking. It sounded like we were just listening to a police radio.
The people writing them gave up sometimes. They just wrote inaudible when it was obviously supposed to be audible. Mm-hmm. But they were just like, we can't hear it. It's inaudible. Because some of the radio stuff was just said inaudible. And it was like, well, if it's inaudible, I'm supposed to be understanding what they're saying.
Well, there was one part where the character said that whore Liz Stone, I believe was the journalist's name. But the subtitle said that poor Liz Stone.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, it's just funny that,
somebody was speed typing these things. It's like, what? It doesn't matter. No one will ever watch
the craftsmanship of the film exted to the subtitles. Whoever did those had the same quality control.
I've noticed that on Netflix sometimes it'll be like, we watch like Poirot, and like he speaks French sometimes, and some episodes it's French in the subtitles, and then other times it's like these weird made up words or like onomatopoeias and stuff that sounded like what he said, and you're like, why the fuck would you type that and be like, I'm done, I did my job,
and print. Anyway, so we open up on the scene on the street, on a street with a giant Bo Jackson billboard.
Yeah,
but there's another billboard facing Bo Jackson, like diagonally across the street.
Well, they're turning down all these police calls, and then the one they take is a woman who's about to jump off of a building.
Right.
And then what did you describe the car, the van pulls up in front of the billboard.
Oh my god! Moment one.
It's a van that once the guy jumps out with the camera, you can see it's the sort of news crew style van where you're supposed to believe they pulled up at a funny angle and they did it urgently and they didn't park carefully and they hopped out. But instead, the actual shot leading up to that was like a van coming over and kind of cutting very deliberately across and driving slowly up to the curb and kind of tapping the curb and then
sure it was there.
Like being very straight, and then the side door sort of slowly slides open.
Yeah,
and the guy steps out with his camera. It's not it does not convey the urgency, but you then realize that was probably in the script as like out of nowhere a van zips up.
Yeah, like in a bigger, better movie, you would see the wheel like screech and stuff. You know what I mean? And this was just like,
and they would cut off somebody in oncoming traffic or something. And,
right. It was also, it wasn't. The van is like one of those Westphalia vans.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a news van or anything, which I thought made it weird because I thought it was like, is that a family pulling up? I don't know. It just was a weird. The whole thing was weird. Yeah. It was so slow.
The first on-screen line of the movie, which is a dude looking up at the woman on the billboard, and he goes, "What is he?" He says, "Come on, you bitch, jump!"
It's
and you're like, that's the first line.
That's the first line of the movie.
Hey, did we mention there's a jumper on the billboard? There's a woman.
Well, there's a Bo Jackson billboard. I mentioned that because it's in the background of so many shots. But she is sitting on another billboard which we can't read.
Right.
Up at the very top of a building, wearing red lingerie. And the guy yells, "Jump, bitch," or whatever. It's a wonderful way to open the movie.
So Sam and Nick get out of the van. Sam is staying down below. He's got the angle up. On
he's an older Al Borland type gentleman.
Yeah.
Sitting on a tripod, and then we have the young, handsome Nick Branca.
Yeah.
With his tight white T-shirt
and his crow vest.
Yeah, and his skin that looks like wet Play-Doh is just like he's so hard and soft looking at the same time. Yeah. He's weird looking. He goes into the building and goes all the way up to the top to confront to film a human being jumping to their death. He's not a negotiator.
Nope. No, he's not.
He's
not going to help in any way.
Also,
he's going to get footage of her if she jumps. They were arriving. Maybe they were down there at this point. I don't know.
But yeah, how did they heard the police call and then they got there before the police?
You saw that kind of crazy driving he was doing. He came in at a jackknife angle.
Yeah. It was he
was going almost 30 miles an hour. I mean,
it's possible for something to be reported, I think, without the police being there. Somebody could have called the police.
But they were listening.
Well, that's kind of
I don't want to help the movie out, but
but that's kind of a premise of Nightcrawler too, which I think this movie must have thought it was doing some wallowing in this underbelly of this truth.
If the Nightcrawler guy saw this,
because there is that idea that maybe these guys are out prowling and they might get there before the police, or there's a scene later where there's actually they're chasing with the police.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
But I also think it's cheap and shitty, and they just didn't have.
They just don't know what they're doing.
But it's just insane to think that I'm an on-the-scene cameraman. Let me just run up to 10 feet. From a person who's about to jump off a building
and stick a camera
and just start filming them. Especially with what goes on after.
That's insane.
Like, you're just like, Christ in heaven, turn this movie off. This is crazy and shouldn't have been made.
No, I recovered. But that scene, you said this movie, the opening scene, as it was rolling, like after we chose it over such other films as White Fury, Shotgun. Other movies that looked really fun, you said the opening scene is a scene that's really going to make you question whether you want to watch the movie, and you're going to want to turn it off. And I was thinking, delivered. I didn't know that. But yeah, it's the sordid tale of why this woman is about to jump off this billboard is one of the most unpleasant things I've ever seen in a movie.
It's written so egregiously terrible. Yes. It's like, why you question why they made this movie at all? You're like, who would write that dialogue? Something so sick and depraved.
Sucks.
That goes nowhere.
Yeah, no effect whatsoever.
It's like
why?
It's horrific.
So anyway,
it almost makes you think they didn't realize, maybe in 1989, they didn't realize that was as awful sounding as it was. They just said, let's give her a really sad story. They didn't think about the fact that this sounds like...
It's not just sad, man.
The worst thing that's ever happened to a person, you know?
It's sick.
If somebody wrote that and didn't think it was that bad, that says a lot about the 80s.
I'm just saying, I wonder if...
absolutely.
I'm just saying, I wonder if they knew that we would be that off-put. Like, did they think people... When they wrote that, did they think people are going to have to take a breath after this?
Sexy, and you're like, oh, my God.
I feel like we've we haven't said what she says yet, but I feel like we've covered this on bonuses before, where it's like, if you have a movie that starts out with what she's about to say, I don't want to see sex scenes in this movie
ever.
Yeah. Right.
You're
It's
not
disgusting. It's literally disgusting.
Not allowed to
I don't
do
want to see the crew, the cast, or the writer go, I'm going to write this, and then later I'm going to try to turn you on.
Mm-hmm. Or in this movie's case, less than 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
Have a full sex scene with a woman you just met.
It's so sick.
Man, it's not cool.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon Prime for all children to see, too.
Yeah. No, when you pointed that out to me, I realized, my son, when he's zipping around on the PlayStation, he could pull up this film. Yes.
He could become a midnight warrior.
Learn a lot in 10 minutes. You know?
Right, oh my God, I want to start a new incel sub and just call it Midnight Warriors.
I don't want to have to describe what incels are on the podcast. Okay. So he has a camera in her face, and they chit chat, and she's basically like, "Well, now hold on." Before she talks about what happened,
yes, yeah,
she's like, "Why are you here?" He's, I'm just here to observe. She's like, "You're just trying to use me like they use me." He's like, "No, I'll put my camera down." He puts his camera down.
Yeah,
and I assume they almost seem like they were playing it like he was still like recording.
Yeah.
But they don't show a shot of the camera. She's like, well, you're still recording. I can see the red light. And we have, as the audience, no clue if that's true or not.
No,
so we don't know if that's his character. That's like a character building moment where like, okay, he's willing to risk her by keeping the camera recorded. We don't know this.
Right, that's true.
For a scene that has no value, that at least would have given us value.
A scene that has no value except to degrade the minds and lives of anyone who watches it.
You have to understand, the person who wrote this woman saying all these horrible things and being like, this is acceptable dialogue.
This is a little colorful, edgy dialogue, like you said. Yeah, like,
but this person is also going, he's helping her.
Yeah.
But when you watch the scene, you're like, he's just there. Yeah.
No,
and he's kind of instigating it. But then the person who wrote all that other shit thinks he's helping. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, no. But that guy's actually there to exploit someone's death.
Yeah.
He showed up to a scene to exploit someone's death, which I'm pretty sure, like, in NIGHTCRAWLer, that was the problem.
Yeah.
Because Jake Gyllenhaal starts to, like, interact and, like, make things go wrong. This movie opens on somebody like, well, I'm going to walk up there and film her dying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like you're already at NIGHTCRAWLER's worst part.
Right.
And it's the opening scene that is, as far as we can tell, useless.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't have been the movie.
No,
like, when the whole...
You don't need it. Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really want to say the things that she said.
I mean, they could have had a jumper. It could have been a guy who lost his job or something, and it could have been a much cleaner scene as far as character development and everything.
Where it went.
Yes.
Oh, also, so, God.
We need to say what it is because we've been talking about it.
It's fine. I'll do it. I'll be very tactful. No, but seriously.
Oh, you're just,
I'm not. So... She starts describing how, like, she wanted to be on TV and her husband told her these guys were liars, and then she went to somewhere to, like, film a movie, and that's when she got, like, raped for... It's so, man... The description's really graphic. She's, like, talking about how, like, there was, like, old men there and young men and black and white, and they raped me for 7 hours, and... While this is happening,
like, you should cry. Really,
I know.
It's so sick.
It's horrific. And while she's describing all this, someone watching her about to jump off the building screams, "Show us those titties!" You remember that?
Yeah, of course. How would I forget a woman saying the most horrific?
And then somebody's like, "Show us your tits!" And it's like,
what?
Like,
there's a part where she's like, I was profusely bleeding
for the last 2 hours
after a 7-hour session of them, and then some guy down there, show us your tits. Who's this movie for? Disgusting.
No one.
It's like, disgusting. I mean,
I just love it. You're right. It's completely insane.
The guy,
it's like Legion of Iron, where you're like, no one should be comfortable with any of this.
None of this is enjoyable. It's not well made. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not like David Fincher made this.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
It's like a Wishbone episode with what we just said happened.
It's like a Wishbone episode, but
terrible.
nobody's having a good time.
No.
It's
Fuck
for no
cute
one
animals.
and it accomplishes nothing. To add in a human being saying, show us your tits, is like in the editing room, those people should have been put in jail.
Well, no, what it does,
No, you're right.
it informs you from the start, though, that the filmmaker thinks that humanity is trash. You know, that like,
Oh no,
that he would have someone
like
in the crowd
a
say
hobo
that.
with a shotgun type of aesthetic where this place, the city, is just everyone is garbage.
So that's not all that happened to her, though.
So they filmed this entirety. They filmed the 7 hours. Then when they were done, they immediately like rewound that tape and then started showing her the footage of them having sex with her, and then said, like, now you're on TV.
Yeah,
congratulations.
They made her watch all 7 hours and said, now you're on TV.
And that's when why she's jumping off a building, because she's like, and then she tells them to film her. Because
she finally wants them to see her on the big screen.
She's like, I want this to be the last time they see me on a screen.
And he doesn't do it.
And he doesn't do it.
I didn't even think about that.
He doesn't film her jump off the building.
Well, his partner's filming at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just think about that. He's supposed to be like.
You know what's really sick too is, I know you guys had to notice this too, but she jumps off. It's a slow-mo jump. She hits the ground. You hear it off camera, but the crowd, like, it's like they don't go, or no one screams. It's just like
So kind of just like
another, it happens.
It's like a fireworks display just ended. You're just like, well, now there's nothing to look at, and I'll move on.
Now, was that like, was that really bad direction of background artists, or was that a conscious thing to say, let's have this city be full of people that just don't care?
Well, they were screaming.
I think it's the first one more than the second, but I think it's a little of both.
Yeah.
I would hope that it would be like a hobo with a shotgun or like a RoboCop level. Like, this is just a garbage city falling apart. I don't feel like the movie justifies why we need it to be that dark. Because it's not really about that.
In fact, the sort of like all the Christmas decorations and the young love, like all that stuff is a totally different
it's
film.
a Christmas movie. By the way, we don't know that yet until the next scene.
Dubs. For no reason, Christmas.
Anyway, so Bronca gets down to the bottom, and he's talking to, what was his name?
Sam. His partner.
Sam, yeah, and he's
a bit more callous and is like,
he just wants to get the money.
Did you get the shot? It'll cut in nice with mine.
Like, I got her smacking right into that pavement. You're like, dude, come on.
This is who we're supposed to be sympathizing with?
Right. Jesus Christ.
What are you writing?
It's like everybody's gonna want to be these guys' best friends. Like, no, man, he just filmed a woman kill herself and is excited about it. Like,
and then, so they're like talking about how it's gonna be a great story, and Nick's like, and then Nick is like, I don't know, man. She said all this awful stuff. I don't think this is right. And then a guy, completely dead face with no emotion, goes, hey, I don't mean to bother you.
No, he says, I couldn't help but overhear you guys talking.
Yeah, my attention wasn't fully on what happened.
Right.
By the way, if you could just tell me, because that was my wife.
That was my wife, by the way. If you
totally unfazed by it, like no one says it. I'm sorry.
Just that lead-in of like I couldn't help it overhear. My wife just killed herself 3 seconds ago. You wouldn't mind like giving me any footage you have of
That's
it.
my sweetie back there. Anyway,
I know, like
I noticed you fellas were talking about a tape.
If you were a character in that scene, you wouldn't be like, "Why aren't you over there like holding her or something?" It's like,
why aren't you a wreck, incapable of uttering a sentence?
As
hey, by the way, you should be eating a sandwich or something.
God, yes. It's a hot dog.
So Bronca's like, he insists that it's the right thing to do to give that guy Sam's camera footage.
Because he's saying he doesn't want this getting out and humiliating the family and the kids and all this stuff.
Because
the husband's like, there's 2 kids or something like that. So Sam gives him the tape.
No,
Nick
Bronco
steals it from Sam and then gives it to him.
Sam doesn't like that.
Sam does not like that. He's like, they drive away, and he's like, I think you gave away, what is it? It was some weird, like, you're this, I hope you're not this, you didn't give away the store, Santa Claus.
Yeah,
It's some weird like quip. Like,
But maybe that was our first clue that this was a Christmas movie, or
it was.
as we found out, not a Christmas movie, but a December movie.
Yes, a
because
movie that
it takes place over weeks, and it's the same level of Christmas decorations the
This
whole time.
woman killed herself on like December 5th.
Yeah,
Just when the decorations were coming out.
Yeah,
you
right.
know? So they go to a diner.
Mm-hmm.
This is
all right. Fuck me, man.
This movie.
This is also why I wanted to recommend this movie, because of this scene.
I want to say that this scene is an example of what you might call John Wickian world building, where it's a world of midnight warriors that operate out of a coffee shop run by what was his name?
Buddy.
Buddy
and is Arden. Buddy Arden.
Buddy Arnstein.
Arnstein.
Yes.
But he's got a booth with like.
Here's why I'm like, no, wait, no, hold on.
He's just in a regular booth.
They walk in. I remember this scene very well. Walking in, they walk past one booth that's filled with men.
Yeah.
And I was like, is the one guy on the end there? Is that the husband of the woman? No.
Yeah.
There's no way.
That's not. It's insane. And then they walk past that and sit down in a booth with Buddy Arnstein.
No, so you watch them park outside of a diner.
Of a diner.
Of a building, and then they
That
go
is
through
not
the
an
window.
office building.
You see it's the diner, you sort of see the husband, you're like, what's happening? Then you watch them walk in, and you see a waitress, and you're like, okay, well, this is a diner, and then it's as it pans to them walking up to Buddy, Buddy has like 2 VCRs and some TV screens showing footages of cars on fire.
Surrounded by decorations for Christmas by the diner.
Yes.
It's so weird.
Christmas decorations. He has his own phone, like a landline phone in the middle of the table.
On a diner booth.
And like other people like looking at maps and shit. And you're like, where the fuck are you, dude? Who are you? What is this? This is a functioning diner. That woman just brought coffee to some guy.
It's insane.
Who are you and why do you live in a booth?
Honestly,
It's awesome. It's great.
no, because what happens next is even everything that happens is insane. Because then he says like
He walks in, he goes,
like,
"Oh,
you got the story right," and they're like, well, no, we don't have the footage. We got one side of the footage.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that would have cut beautifully with the other. What happened? And they're like, then doesn't he tell them that they gave it to the father?
Yeah.
And then he just calls them assholes like 10 times in a row.
He calls them assholes, and then
And he goes, because...
Nick notices. It's like...
No, he doesn't. He doesn't
Right?
notice. But he goes, look, I heard there were 2 assholes who gave away great footage of a shot.
I was just
And I was
praying
hoping it wasn't
guys.
you guys.
Yeah.
And then they're like,
right,
it was
right.
us. And he's like, well, you are assholes because that wasn't her husband. You just gave it to that guy over there who sold it to me. And now we just made a bunch of money instead of you. And I was like, wait, but you still made the money. Why are you mad? And then...
Is that guy new to the scene that they didn't...
Nick, yes, that guy's
God.
new. And then Nick just
We're
walks,
talking about
stands
Eddie.
up.
Eddie, the guy who's posing as
He was.
Well, he was
He's
posing
the
as the
rival
husband.
yes,
yeah.
Midnight Warrior.
But it's very thinly sketched. Like there's
He
not
doesn't
really
really
a
come
rivalry.
back
Yeah,
much.
that's it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
No, I love the last scene he's in. We'll get to when that is because
That's it. It's a really important scene.
It's really important because it happens, and we'll get to it.
So then the waitress comes, brings them food.
No. He goes. He gave it to me, you fucking assholes. And then
Oh.
Nick says not a word. He just stands up, walks over, and punches that guy right in the mouth. And then they don't exchange a word between the two. He just punches him in the mouth. People separate him, and then the guy goes, "Okay, yes." You know, like the head nod of like, "Oh, I see how it is," but I'm still like cocky dick, and he sits back down, and you're like, "What the fuck is going on?" Then a waitress puts a Band-Aid on Nick's head, and then
Well, hold on. She like says it's like this flirting scene.
flirt. They said 2 things
I know,
to each
it's
other.
terrible. She puts the on his eye, and then it's like here's this strange woman offering him a Band-Aid, and then it was like cut hard to the next scene.
Like, butt naked in a bed having sex. And you're like, did this movie just... Never mind. Like, you know what I mean?
Who is she?
Right.
Some person?
We find out later that they have just met.
Yep.
Yes,
But
she is a
it
complete
wasn't
stranger.
clearly that she wasn't like his girlfriend or something at that point.
Apparently they all worked together.
at a diner.
Where do you work? Oh, I work at Joe's. Joe's what? The diner or the newspaper? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Oh, they're the same thing, actually. Like, that's not a thing.
I work at the Midnight Warriors Diner. Where do you?
Oh God! They
That's
never
so
showed an
good.
exterior. It could have been called Midnight Warrior Diner.
Damn it.
A place exclusively frequented by midnight warriors, you know? They come in.
Just to make
there's
clear.
like between 4 and 6 a.m. there's a big pop. That's usually when it's really crowded.
To make it clear, too, the sex scene is long and
and
very
unnecessary
and graphic, and it doesn't need...
Dude, we still don't even know
And
who
like
Nick
awkward.
is.
It's that kind of thing where like there's a shot of him slipping her thong off that's just weird. It's a weird way to slip off a thong, and it's
a lot of
weirdly
shots
shot.
of his back.
Yeah.
You
No, it's
know?
weird.
Yeah, and
It's the inept version of the obligatory 80s thriller sex scene.
and it's just out of place.
Yeah.
We don't know who these two people having sex are. That's called porn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty much.
No, it's
I mean,
porn.
no,
it's
you're right.
gonzo pornography.
You
There's
never
not,
get her name. She's only ever referred to as the waitress.
Yeah.
And
literally by other characters.
for a main character, all we know of this guy is that he's not that great.
Right.
You
He
know
was
what I
going
mean?
to film
That's
someone
it.
die.
He punched somebody in the face and he tried to film a person commit suicide for profit. Like,
So at this point, do you think we were supposed to be thinking Nick's like a cool guy in an edgy field, or are we supposed to be thinking this guy's a morally ambiguous gray character?
I think they want us to think like
That he's
anti-hero.
Okay, but a cool guy. We're supposed to think he's a good guy.
but because of
we have
I
no
don't know,
reason
because
to.
of the tone of the movie and Sam being his partner, it almost feels like, you know, like it's like this. I don't even know how to describe it. Like an imaginary job. You know what I mean? Like they look
Like,
ridiculous. Their
Nightcrawler,
equipment looks
Nightcrawler
really fucking
makes you
janky.
understand that job exists. You know,
Yes,
like
this
Nightcrawler
makes it seem like
I didn't
they're
know that
hobbyists or
before I saw
something.
Nightcrawler. I
Yeah.
didn't even know that was a thing. You know, and that
Yeah,
if
I hadn't,
were
I
to
hadn't
watch
really thought
only-
about the mechanics of it. Like
if
I might
you-
have believed it happened, but I wouldn't have thought about, oh yeah, they
It's a
have to be
job.
like these
Yeah.
free agents out there beating each other to it
Right.
and all that stuff. Right.
But if I had watched this without knowing what Nightcrawler
that's a much better
my God, it would make so little sense.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know which way is up or down. Because I would have been like, are they cops? Are they news people? What's happening? They live in a van?
Yeah, they're talking about sectors. I don't understand.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Who are you? Like,
You're in a diner.
yeah,
Like, this can't be
think
legitimate.
of how disconcerting it would be to have him working in a their boss works in a diner with TVs and phones, and he's mad at them.
Were
for,
those supposed to be editing bays? Now that I think of it, of like,
dude?
Is it so like
Footage?
people can come in and be like, so you can decide whether or not it's worth selling? If,
Maybe
if
so.
they don't know, but
Does the diner let him just stay
Do they
there all
give
the
him a
time?
cut?
Ah.
does he also own the diner?
well, we learn throughout the
Okay.
film that he gets around. We'll talk about Buddy's.
What happens after the sex scene?
That's the music video. Which
Oh
is
my-
immediately when I stopped watching it originally and was like, "This is a perfect."
Does it really
movie.
go right? Because
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
because he comes out of the house and he meets with Sam, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
sex. He meets with Sam in some room, and they're like, "Oh, you're in early."
Oh, right, it's the
And
break
we're like,
room. It's the break room
Where?
Yeah.
of a place.
What?
Yeah.
If the main office of this place is a goddamn diner, where the break room should be like a dumpster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like a free sample table at a fucking BJ's. Like, what are you talking about? Where is this? This is nicer than where y'all just do all your work.
That totally looked like that. One of the locations they could get was the break room at like an auto dealership or something like
Yeah.
that.
No, it
like,
does.
there's like a-
Absolute. That's the
Yeah.
Jiffy Lube break
It
room.
was like a pink box of donuts, like the generic
And he's
pink
like,
box
"You
of
ready to
donuts.
go? Yeah, let's go." And it was once again a totally necessary scene of them
Why
deciding
did
to
we-
go.
You're right.
You're in early.
And then the song starts.
Yes.
Yep.
Which is Midnight Warriors. I guess was what the song was called. We didn't really look.
Yes, in the credits. It's
Called Midnight Warriors.
It's horrific.
You're a musician, John. What did you think of the song Midnight Warriors that played over shots of cars and stock footage of riots and cars
real
burning?
crimes, hostage situations.
And
This movie
and
is
just
so
highway
great.
footage, just driving down the highway. I would
man.
say that it was a. It felt like if someone did that now, you would think it was a brilliant facsimile of like terrible '80s music. But
Right.
since it's actually from '89, it was just a
just
really
is-
late era shitty '80s pop song. But definitely, it had that attempt to be like a. I don't
It's
know.
very descriptive.
Yes, very descriptive. The
Oh,
lyrics really
Except
come
for
right
there's
out.
There's two lines that just don't make any sense. but-
Dividing the call.
yeah, it was something about like when a warrior, sometimes a warrior faces a time, sometimes,
And it says,
something.
yeah, it says sometimes, sometimes a dividing call.
How come cops are Midnight Warriors?
It seems like they would be.
You know what I mean? Like, why did these guys? What did they do in this movie that would say, you know what, they are warriors of the night?
Well, no, she actually says in the song. I wish we had the lyrics in front of us because something in the lyrics is something like Midnight Warriors. Something like bringing you the news, or something.
No,
like
yeah,
that.
he's right.
There's a reference to the news in the lyrics, so they're very literally about like she doesn't quite.
This song was written for
driving around in vans at night, you know, going to the scene of the crime or just an accident.
Maybe that was how they were trying to establish that this job it does exist.
Yeah, right.
Like that was their Nightcrawler.
That was their attempt.
This song, which is 3-4 minutes.
It was long.
Yeah,
it was longer
it's
than
padding
it
out the
needed to be.
runtime, and it is so out of place.
and it recurs too. We get to have a few reprises.
It's insane.
Of that song.
What do you get from this movie? It's like the worst
Look,
rape
you don't
story
write a
you've ever
song for
heard.
a movie and then just
Yeah,
play
that's
it
right.
once.
Within
This is
15
the
minutes, you
theme.
get the worst rape story you've ever heard, a sex scene,
Between
and
two
then a music
strangers.
video that's atrocious.
Yep.
It's like no one is driving at all.
You know, yeah. It's
Like
not-
if you told me this movie had no director and it was just like the crew had to make a movie, but no one really, they're just like, okay, you know what I mean? Like no one like knew how things went together. They were just like, okay, today we got to film pages 7 through 15
and get it done. Let's do it.
If anyone complains, they're fired. Okay, you said all the lines.
And we're finished. That's all we needed.
Where does the music video lead into?
So the music video happens, and then it's they're
Can't find
back
lyrics
at,
online.
Are you trying to find
I
lyrics?
was trying to, but it's like there's lots of things called Midnight Warrior, and none of them are this.
A lot of
I think it
faux
goes-
Midnight Warriors out there.
I think it goes from there to. Does he meet his mom? Yes.
Oh,
He
it's
goes
so
to
good.
his mother's house, and his mom's like,
'Cause
"You're
he-
only ever here when you
Well,
have problems."
no, hold
And
on
he's
now.
like, hey,
A car we've never seen pulls up to a house
we've never seen.
Because I remember
And then it
saying
cuts
like,
the inside of a room that we have to assume is in this
Now, wait,
home we've never seen.
Wasn't he? Didn't the car pull out? It was after the scene where we.
Yes, you see a house.
The
Oh, no,
bedside
you're right.
table with like the lamp that you would
This
have.
is why it's so confusing about the shower.
Yeah.
Because you see him pull out of a driveway, and it's a house we've never seen, but it's his house.
with
then
his mom.
it just immediately
His
cuts.
mom lives there.
No, that's why it's confusing.
That's
It
not his
immediately
mom's
just
house?
cuts to inside of his mother's house, and you're like, "Wait, where?" Yeah, that's why you.
Because we see the outside
shower
of his mom's
scene was-
house later when he meets her in the driveway, and they talk
Yep.
about him being
Right.
set up with.
So you get this. That's when you
Angelina.
see the outside of the
Yeah.
mother's house, but you only see the exterior of his house.
But his house
beforehand.
looks like an elderly person's house, just the
Yes.
way that it's
It looks like
decorated,
an old person's house,
and it
yeah.
really does have that sort of. That they got this house as a location, and they did nothing to make it look more like.
No, and by the way,
it doesn't look like a Midnight Warrior lives there, frankly.
No.
I'll tell
by
you
the
that.
way, he dresses too like he's living in an old person's house, and he dresses like he's in the Matrix. He wears
Yeah.
this like leather
Huge-
long overcoat,
Yeah, and a
and
white
it's like,
shirt and jeans.
and it's like, what is this guy's aesthetic?
Yeah.
He's driving this like old jalopy
van
car that Biff Tannen would be driving, and then he's like wearing these fucking leather coats. Like, who are you?
Yeah, you don't get a sense of anything
of what Nick Bronca is
Yeah.
No.
at all. So this scene is him showing up to the house, right?
He goes to his mom's and she's like, what's
my
wrong? And he's like, nothing. And then she starts asking him stuff. It's some girl thing. And then
And he's like, "Oh yeah,
he's like, no, I just went on a date
with a waitress.
It was great. And she's like, what'd you talk about? And he's like,
We talked about lots of stuff.
We talked about things. And then
well, you
she's
should
like,
go with Angelina Rose or
and it was Angelina
Muse.
I think it's Minucci. maybe?
Minucci. It's fine. That's good
Yeah.
enough.
And
And
usually we call people really bad things for characters that they were in other movies. So you're doing awesome.
and she's
and you're like, who the fuck is this? What's happening?
who's that?
Didn't
Who's
we
Angelina
watch a woman
Minucci?
commit
Suicide.
suicide earlier? Like, what's going on? Why are we watching some guy like talk to his mother about a waitress? He had
And then
sex
she's
with?
like, "You're gonna stay and eat spaghetti," and he's like, okay." You
Alright,
talked
fine.
me into it. It's like, what happened to the other stuff? So he sits down, and then the
oh.
door rings. She goes to the door. It's Angelina Mantucci.
Mantucci. That's what the internet says. Mantucci.
It's Angelina Mantucci. And
what a coincidence. I was just telling my son he should put his penis inside of you until he fills it with semen, and then a child falls out of it later.
God.
And then she's like, oh, well, I also made, what did she make? Because it was funny. What she made was kind of ridiculous. She was like, oh, I made you these.
Like the door opens, and she's like, oh, hi. And she's like,
oh, I made you this stuffed eggplant.
Oh,
like,
right.
Wait, what? You just showed up randomly? All right.
Showed up at random with stuffed eggplant. And then she walks in, and Nick is stuffing his face with spaghetti. And he's like, bro,
oh, she's so beautiful, I guess.
My mom was right. I should have sex with you.
She's so beautiful. He stains his shirt. And then she proves she's a good woman because she rushes across the room and she kneels and she washes his shirt off.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's like, I like this girl. I really like this.
She's quality. She's doing something that I deserve to be done to me.
Just like Ma treats me. This is nice. And his mother's like looking across the room approvingly.
Like, yes, I've done it.
Yeah,
I've match made.
No, that's when he finds out that she actually does teach for the blind. He said, I don't care.
Oh, right. Yeah. That weird joke.
Yeah, next, like, why are you talking about this girl like she teaches blind kids or something? And then
she
one of the first things she says is, yeah, I teach at the blind school.
And then he looks at his mom,
and she's like, whoa. Like, you knew?
Yeah.
Okay.
That she taught him that the barometer for whether or not you're a piece of shit is if you teach at a blind school.
It's amazing to me. I'm not going ahead here, but this is like the love arc of this movie, the Angelina Nick Branca arc.
Mm-hmm.
And in between the ending, which I won't, the ending of that arc, he has sex with other women.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know.
Like, it's like for the ending, which is tragic, of their arc. It's like it wasn't even that like committed. It was like he has this like meet cute with her, like, oh my god, you're beautiful, and then you get to see him bone. It's like
kind of immediately because I made a joke
one of the weirder scenes.
Abruptly, you're like, wait a minute.
This other sex scene.
Well, we haven't got.
No, I'm just saying, it's one of the weirder scenes in the movie.
It's super weird, and then it's just like, well, what was that arc with him and Angelina? It doesn't mean anything.
Like the way this movie treats the plot that's actually going on, it's almost like a movie like Geostorm, where you're looking
like
at you're looking at someone explain something that you're not seeing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, oh well, this is happening because of that, and that's how it is. And then, but all we are ever getting to see is him, the equivalent of him like taking out the garbage. You know what I mean? Like, you're a famous person, and you watch.
Hold on, let's get there.
Sorry. It's just
so,
like, what?
They go out on their. He goes out with Sam again, right? To Midnight Warrior.
Well, first, this is what I was talking about earlier. So Eddie is like, you fucked up, and I'm punishing you, and I cut your sector into a third or whatever.
The sector talk.
This whole sector thing that's about to happen is awesome.
It was Buddy that was saying that.
Buddy.
Buddy, Eddie's the nemesis.
It's the nemesis.
That is not a nemesis.
Buddy.
Oh yeah, right.
Buddy's like, I'm cutting your sector into a third, and you're gonna go out and fuck you. And then it cuts to the Eddie guy outside with his partner, and he's like, give me the keys. I'm gonna drive tonight because we're gonna go into their sectors. And he's like, dude, you can't cross sectors. And he's like, well, we're gonna, because we're going into his sector. We're going to show him that he's an idiot. And they drive away, right? Then it cuts to them in their car,
just sitting there, right? And
Nick and Sam sitting in the car. Well, no, they're driving it first. And he's like, what do you want to do? Oh, no, you're right. They're not driving. He's like,
because there's this long fucking conversation that goes nowhere where he's like, let's drive around. He's like, why? We got this radio that tells us when anything's happening. He's like, yeah, but if we drive around, we'll find it tonight. He's like, I don't want to drive around. We save gas. He's like, I just want to move. Let's move. And it's like, he's an asshole. What is he talking about?
But then he also says some shit like, we're going to go into the other sectors. And he's like, dude, we cannot do that. And he's like, you know what? We're not going to be the only ones going into other people's sectors. And I was like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, who gives a shit? How do you know he was going to plan to go to other sectors? Do the sectors even fucking matter?
No, they don't.
No, I'm telling you, they did research. They talked to a guy that does this. They had like a lunch with a guy that actually does this. And he said the word sector to them.
They went
and they were
off.
like, "Oh, Sector, that's good. Let's remember that sectors." You know, that's like one of the two concepts they got.
Then they
Which
found
leads to Sam having a line
in their
of,
old.
but what if we missed something in the sector we're supposed to be in?
Yeah,
they went to their old word processing box.
Yeah,
and they selected replace all areas with sectors. The script,
and then didn't proofread it.
They did it all. They just kept saying sectors.
You know those things when we were writing the script that we call them zones? They're sectors.
They're sectors.
All right.
Sectors now.
We love the word.
Yeah.
2 syllables. Just say it. So they show up at
That's
the
when
car
there's
scene,
a drunk
right?
driver.
This drunk driver.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this chase scene.
So interminably long.
Dude, it's terrible.
And it's just, it doesn't create excitement just to intercut between two different things. Yeah, there has to be some sense of like momentum, but instead you just get a long shot of the drunk guy being happy, driving around in his car, and then the cops, and then our guys. I don't know what sector they're in, but clearly they've crossed,
Yeah,
they've
I'm
crossed
not
the
sure
line.
if they're in a
Again,
cross section.
Not to like play off an old joke, but it's like if the crew of Hercules: The Legendary Journeys season 4 had a day off to film a car chase, which they've never done before. That's what this car chase looks like.
I just watched all of Hercules. And
I'm
season
fine with
4 is
Hercules,
not
but
too bad.
it looks
got better
like
at that
it
point.
looks like early.
No, yeah, you're right.
90s television. With it just it doesn't look like a movie.
Yeah, no, it did not.
No, nothing about this movie.
It
looks like a
doesn't.
movie.
It doesn't look like a movie. It's just like
Everything's too close.
And then suddenly they're in front of a cop, or a cop's in front of it doesn't make sense what's happening in the chase. But
No.
they end up at
they show up. The car crashes.
The drunk guy crashes.
driver crashes, and they show up before the cops somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is so good. They get out. They've been chasing. they're literally part of a car chase right now.
Yes.
He didn't have the camera rolling.
No.
They park the van and then they start scrambling for cameras. And it's like, you're in a goddamn
You have
car
one guy
chase.
that wasn't driving.
They
How is
parked
that
the van
not-
with their customary care that they park the van.
But I'm just
and then they get out. But they get
nice.
they get out and they're taking the camera out. It's true they didn't have it ready at all. And then the cop comes
But you
up.
would want to film a car chase.
Yeah.
You can put that footage in.
But so there's a
No.
woman. The drunk driver crashed into a woman's car, and she's trapped in the car, and the cars are on fire, but the woman's still alive, and a cop is standing there.
Dude,
the cop-
best line in the movie.
You know what? This is even more like this movie hates women. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
the cop
It's so
is pulling
disgusting.
the drunk driver away to arrest him,
Yeah.
and there's a woman like passed out
And
in
then
the car.
Nick is like-
Nick goes, "Hey, there's a lady still in there," and he goes, "It's too late. There's nothing that can be done.
Her life is void now. We cannot help her.
Forget it." Nick does not accept that as an answer, and
It's
he
a
throws
cop.
down his.
Yeah,
Dude,
cop.
he just said, "Fuck it." He's like, "No, it's gonna blow any second."
I would have to go back over there and get her out of that car. That's just not going to happen.
yeah,
It's
sorry,
done. She's done. I might as well shoot her in the head from here. Just let it be.
Nick gets her out of the car, and it explodes.
It's huge.
is-
The explosion is enormous.
It's very big.
Yeah.
What proceeds to happen defies all logic of space and time. Like Doctor Who could manage to have this happen, but not them.
Doctor Strange could have this happen.
They're driving in a van while he's editing the footage of him saving this woman. While the other guy, while
Right.
Sam is like, I just talked
To the
what's it
diner,
called?
right? They're driving to the diner,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
yeah.
no, they're dropping it off at TV stations because Sam's like, all right, good. I'll have it to you in 45 minutes. And he's like, that's 2 out of the 3 major networks, man. This footage is going to be huge or whatever. So presumably, super edibly, they're going to drop off this footage and then they're going back to the base.
Mm-hmm.
They get back to the base. There's a news crew interviewing Buddy because
Nick is now famous.
Nick is now famous for saving the woman out of the car for the footage that he only just now delivered.
Now, presumably,
Like
that story spread via the news. However, the whole idea behind what they do
is that
they make the news.
They make the news by providing the footage, right? So it doesn't make sense at all. But what the reporter says to him is like, I wish we had written it down because it's like basically like the governor is interested in you. Every politician in the state.
Like wheels are in motion to like this guy's life career is on its path, and it's like
you're a national
hero. Drove from one place to the other in 20 minutes, and your life's like, hey, you could be the next president of the United States.
It's just like no one could have gotten that information that fast at all.
No.
And also, what the hell is this buddy character like? You know, him insinuating himself into it, and like he's making deals with the local news networks. He's working in a coffee shop
to make a guy that's a Midnight Warrior famous for what exactly?
For filming. Well, no. See, this
it's
is
so confusing what he's supposed to do.
So he is now famous for saving someone's life. And it being
the cops were
the cops are just gonna abandon it. Like, nobody addressed that at all. That we don't have time for that. And then
she's done.
But it was filmed
I got this guy. I can't go all the way.
That one's enough.
Yeah.
It was filmed by Sam, who doesn't become famous for the footage, but he becomes famous
for being a hero.
But
for something that has nothing to do with night warrioring.
No.
He just saves someone out of a car.
They exalt him as a night warrior. Well, that's you know what I mean? He didn't. It's like if I saved somebody's life and then they were like, "You get a medal for making the greatest ligature in the world," and I'm like, "But I didn't.
My job. I did something that wasn't my job." And you're saying that I'm okay? Thank you. It's like me winning the best director Oscar for editing for saving like an animal out of a drain pipe.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I didn't do that. Though.
I made this. I saved the animal, but I made that movie.
Their job is not to save human beings from burning cars that explode.
It makes no sense. It doesn't.
And it happens so fast in the movie. It's blindsiding.
Yeah. It's like every local politician is interested in him.
Yeah,
his future's made. And this is all no one's.
This is in a parking lot. Like in a parking lot, he's told this is your life now. Okay.
Well, he says I want to get. And they're like, "What are you going to do now? Now that you're super famous and the mayor knows you?" And he's like, "Well, I'm going to go to Disney World, I guess."
And the crowd goes, "Oh, Nick Bronca."
Oh yeah, that card. Classic Bronca. Yeah. He's a fucking stranger 5 minutes ago.
But it really
Isn't
felt
there like a scene with the evil dad, the fake dad guy? Not Buddy.
Eddie.
Eddie. Doesn't he say
no, because when Eddie was like, "We're gonna cross into their sectors," you never see him again. So
you're right.
Does that mean Buddy? Well, we'll get to it. But does that mean they were executed for crossing sectors? I don't know. We'll have to speculate on that later.
Yes.
But you might say sparks flew between him and the female reporter. I do think that's worth mentioning in this scene.
He tries to flirt with her, and she shuts him down.
And then Buddy keeps going, "We have to leave.
We need to talk immediately.
You are now the most famous human on Earth. We need to go." Oh, that's been an hour. We got it. Yeah, we'll get it.
So this makes no sense. She turns him down, and I made a joke being like, "Well, I guess I thought we were gonna get to see another sex scene immediately." And then Buddy's like, "We gotta talk," and his talk is to say what exactly? He's like, "Hey, look,
hey, I made you,
so
I can control you. I can build you up." It's basically him saying, "I am the mastermind of this.
I'm gonna come with you because."
What were you? He asks him about because he says to him, he's like, "I was trying to flirt with this reporter." Mm-hmm. He's like, "Forget all that. Yeah, that's not a big deal. It's nothing." And I thought, honestly, I mean, from this scene, I thought that she was just some minor character that didn't matter.
Yeah.
Ever again. And then
the end of that scene cuts directly to him going to his house.
It's his mom's house.
It's not his mom's house. It's his house. Okay. That's why I said it's
But he thinks his mom is there. Remember? He walks in, he's like...
who the fuck else visits him, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah, someone's showering in his bathroom.
But he keeps going, "Is it Mom?
Is it Mom? Is that you?"
He keeps getting ill walking closer to the bathroom.
He gets a visual confirm on whether it's his mom before he gets an answer, which is really weird,
No, he's willing to open
looking
the
at a
shower.
naked woman through a
it could be
glass.
my mom. I'll check. I'll just open the... I'll invade this human being's privacy.
Right.
And it's It's the reporter from the scene before
who turned him down and is now like, he's like, what's this about? And she's like, oh, well, now you get your own TV show on a major news network, and I'm gonna fuck you in your shower.
Buck naked in the shower.
You get your own show. All he's ever done in his life is just point fucking camera at something. Like, he has no point of view. You know, like,
Yeah, like he's not like a.
What
he's not
is
famous
happening?
for saying anything.
It's like that Mitch Hedberg joke. It's like, you're a really good comedian. Can you farm? You know, like,
Yeah.
what? I don't.
But I mean, even if you take what he's a hero for,
No, it's like,
which is
you're a great
pulling a
farm
woman out
king
of a
cook.
car, like that people have pulled women out of cars in this city today. They aren't getting their own show out of it.
They aren't getting
you know?
any recognition. They probably don't even get thanked by the person they saved.
Yes.
You know what I mean? This guy, hey, you're the new Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Had sex with me.
What did she say? She called his segment something. It was like not man on the street, but it was something.
The news through the hero's eyes or something like that.
Yeah,
It was
Jesus Christ.
what?
So basically, he's doing what he always did, but just as a hero now.
And that's the part that's not clear. It doesn't seem like he's actually doing anything differently.
No, nothing
Except he's got meetings at the TV station, and now Buddy Arnstein is showing up over there. You know, like, it doesn't make sense that he's the middleman. Like, I don't know that you need an agent. Like, if you were the cameraman and they said, we like your footage, we're going to sign a deal with the news station,
Right.
there wouldn't need to be some weird greedy guy in between saying, I want my cut.
Right, they're like, and then so Buddy was like, so now I don't have to be at the diner anymore. I can work at the news station as a representative for Nick, who's now famous and has his own TV show.
It was really confusing though, because it shows like Nick in this like editing bay with Buddy, and he's like, what do you think? Like, this is the big time, we made it. And you're like, I guess this is his office now?
Just like the fact that they're in a building and not a van or a diner.
But it isn't. It isn't his office. Like,
I know,
other
it's
people,
an editing bay.
It's just like, and he also, it's just maddening. It's just maddening. It's like, why do we need to see this room? It doesn't mean anything.
Because this is when he says, because what happens after this?
It's so hard. It's really hard. If anyone is confused listening to this, it's hard to remember the chronology
It's
of
so
events.
fast-moving.
Because it really did seem as like there would be a bunch of scenes that seemed to happen in one night and couldn't have. And then there's another scene where someone says, that was 2 weeks ago. And you're like,
Yeah.
what?
Oh, no,
But there's still
wait,
Christmas
hold on.
decorations everywhere.
Hold on, you're right. This is that scene. Because the reporter he had sex with in the last scene sits down and she's like, okay.
It's been a week,
It's been weeks.
And
now we have it
it's been all week.
She says weeks.
There's still Christmas decorations.
That's
though.
why we said it was like
All
a
right,
month
all right,
of
all right,
December.
all right, all right.
This is-
You're right.
So she says it's like a couple weeks or something. And she's like, we have the assignment for the hero, which is the breaking ground of the
ceremony.
The ceremony.
For some she just says for some government building. You're like,
No, yeah. The whole thing is it's treated as we got you this plum assignment that we got exclusive
for the
rights.
hero can finally show his medal to the world.
You're the only cameraman that's been invited to.
Oh, and Sam, the real cameraman, who actually knows what he's doing.
To the groundbreaking. They don't even say that.
Sam is such a good cameraman. He filmed someone dying. Didn't even care. That's like a really good cameraman. He's a terrible human being. He's a terrible human being, but he's a great cameraman.
I just love that trajectory of okay, you're a cameraman. You're a cameraman who's
I know, I understand.
You're a cameraman who's a hero. You get recognized. The governor wants to give you some recognition, so he gives you a job shooting the groundbreaking. It's just such
ceremony.
a weird
Ceremony.
Yeah.
Something that's like a wide shot on a tripod. It's amazing.
But it's treated like this is the big time.
Welcome to the show, motherfucker. And it's like,
I mean, Buddy Arnstein is happy about his cut of this. How much are they? How much do you get paid to shoot a groundbreaking of these government buildings?
Well, there was a point where I forget who said it. One of you guys was like, "Why does he keep talking about George Washington?"
Oh yeah,
no,
Buddy keeps saying
we're gonna be drowning in GWs.
GWs.
Yeah.
It's like, why doesn't he ever talk about like your Benjamins?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
right.
why is it always GW? That's why, because it's that. Because he's getting like $13.50. You know what I mean? Like it's.
He lives in a diner.
Make $11.
He lives in a diner, so
God, it's beautiful.
it's a diner. It's open 24 hours a day, and he orders like one plate of food every 3 hours, probably.
Yeah,
that's rent. You know what I mean? Like that's he's.
Another plate of matzo ball. Like, what? Come on, leave.
Just stop.
Just rent an office.
What was
You're
that room he was in?
68 years old.
Anyway, so they're at the ball, or not the ball, the outside ceremony. The governor shows up. Before he gets out of the car, he has a conversation with his lackey.
Yeah.
The governor.
How this is bullshit.
Yeah. What does he say? He says something really offensive too.
Well, he's basically saying,
he's like, you gotta do this thing for the homeless later. He's
Yeah,
like,
like
what's
he's-
my schedule?
Oh, and he goes, why can't they just get jobs and buy an apartment? And it's like,
but
who
they
wrote
need
this
help.
dialogue, number one?
And then he goes, look, what, I gotta give them more money so they can have a bigger box?
yeah.
Jesus Christ. And you're like, come, good Lord, man.
But I just like how his aide is given, honestly, in that one scene, has more character development than just about any other
Dude,
characters
his
in the whole
aide's
movie.
voice, too, he's like, I don't know, sir. I think they...
Sir, I think you're supposed to try to help the
They're very
homeless.
underprivileged. I think you should give them a chance.
But I mean, in that one scene,
It's really weird.
that aide, though, he comes off as compassionate. He's knowledgeable about the situation. He's
Yeah, no.
disappointed in the governor. When the governor leaves, he has a moment of being kind of like, I can't believe
Never
this
see
shit.
him again.
Yeah, there's no
and
point.
he's gone.
And it's not even. This is the scene where the governor gets assassinated or anything. Like there was no
This
reason.
isn't the scene.
There was no reason to set him up as this
dispersion,
awful.
yeah.
For that whole thing in the limo, it's
Yeah.
not like, here's the scene where we're introducing the big bad of the movie.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
It's just a scene with a guy who's coming to break the ground on a government building. Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh, could you imagine if you got that camera job, Bob?
Oh,
To
man.
go shoot the groundbreaking of a government building.
Yeah, it shows that's when
The exclusive you.
And I would get Sam to have a tripod, and I would stand there holding it handheld for some, not that far away from each other.
But when they discuss the discussion of him being at
You got to
this
stay in your
thing-
sector, Bob.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta stay in your sector.
It's all sectors.
But they get there. They get Sam and Nick get there, and they have a discussion about how lame it is. And then Sam and this other person have a discussion about how lame it is. And then Nick and the same other person have a discussion about how
Hey,
lame this all
you
is.
excited to be at the big show? The governor's the governor's groundbreaking.
Oh
You
man, we
excited,
really made
hero?
it. And then
Take your dick out and be excited.
what happens? Governor starts giving a speech. Fucking helicopter shows up out of nowhere and starts shooting people. And you're like, what in the fuck is going on? Like, what in?
It's
what?
a movie
Seriously?
for no one. It's a movie that
I mean,
appeals
there's
to
a
no
body
one
count
on
in
it.
that scene.
Yeah,
There's
a lot of people died in that scene. It's
There's like
crazy.
an innocent-looking guy in a sweater.
He's
He
done.
takes one in the back.
He's dead for what?
Yeah. And then that crack
Wait.
shot agent.
The hero doesn't
Yeah.
even save anyone.
Yeah.
No, he just films a camera.
He shows a person murdering people.
He films a guy shooting people, and then the thing explodes, and they're like, "God, that was amazing! You're such a hero."
No, he
And
gets
you're
that shot of the helicopter exploding.
That's why he's a
Yeah.
hero.
Yeah.
Not because
He
he,
didn't
saved
save anyone.
No, which is why he's there at the
Like
job.
6 people died.
He got eternal hero status from pulling that woman out of the car. Anything else he does
You're a
is
hero.
the
Let
work
me
of a
tell
hero.
you, if a helicopter mows down a group of kids,
Yeah.
you're fine
Yeah,
from
right.
now on. You're forgiven.
Yeah, as long as you film it, you're a hero.
So I just want to point out.
Frame that shit up.
Well,
And he did. He framed it
did.
up nice.
Yeah.
Framed it up nice. Liz Stone thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
looking at it, that's where you have a scene where Liz is talking to Buddy about.
Don't we go back to the mom's house? Or is that after this?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
movie
they
has
had to have
this
started
movie has
dating.
no
Yeah,
chronology to it.
We missed a scene where Nick talks to his mom and is like, "Set me up with Angela or Angelica." What was her name?
Angelina.
Angelina. And set me up with Angelina, and she's like, "I don't want to set her up.
No, you're just
with
going to
you
use
unless
her.
you're gonna
Take her
unless
to
you're
the
actually gonna
Chinese
be with
place
her."
that your dad took me to when we were kids.
And that's what you do. And then we get the montage of them going
with
on
the
dates.
song. With the song.
Dude, he's supposed to be like impressing a girl he hasn't really met before at a Christmas party. He shows the 2 kids a magic trick. And then there's this like old ass woman, like this 90-year-old woman sitting on the couch next to the girl. And he goes, "Hey, do you mind showing these kids? Do you know any magic tricks?" And she goes, "No." And he goes, "Well, why don't you learn one and show these kids?
Or make one up.
Make one up. Why don't you make one up and show the kids?"
Where
And,
were
like,
they? Was this a family? Was this Angelina's family?
That was like an Andrew Dice Clay kind of like, like, get the fuck out of here, bro. I'm gonna fuck this late. You know what I mean? He's like, "Here, make one up and get the fuck out
No,
of
he
here."
even does the thing of like narrating what he's doing. He's like, "I'm just gonna move over here and sit right down right here."
right next to this lovely.
And then she's struck mute. She's got that awesome ingenue part of the scene where he just says things at her, and she just kind of looks, makes a reaction expression. Yeah.
And it's like I said, I don't know why they're there. Is that a family party? Is it a?
I think it was.
Was that her grandmother that he pushed?
Let's
over?
just say. Let's just say,
Who were those other people? Because he told his mother.
Is she endeared to him because he was playing with her cousins or something? Were those kids? Who were these kids? You know what I mean?
What was the party?
Where is this Christmas party and why? Because the first date of somebody. Your first date is at a family's Christmas party.
Weird.
Well, if you met her through the family and it was an old family
but
friend.
But it wasn't. The first time he saw her was the spaghetti moment.
True. Which is weird because his mom says, ever since you moved out of the house, she's been like a daughter to me. And it's like, but then they would already know each other. But also, because you've been complaining that he keeps showing up.
Yeah.
But also, if she's like a daughter to her, why is she trying to fix her up with her son? Isn't that kind of strange?
Well, it's also a son that would look at his mom in the shower.
They would go check. And Mom, is that you?
Oh yeah, maybe Angelina and the mom got down already, and she's just trying to like.
Eggplant didn't mean eggplant.
Oh,
right.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Your stuffed eggplant.
Stuffed. Yeah.
But yeah, that scene was crazy. And then that scene ends with the old lady singing a song. I don't know what the fuck that song was.
Oh, I have no idea.
Dude, that's so long, too.
That woman could barely speak, and then now she's singing. Like, she read that one line, was like...
That's the moment...
It, like, cracked out of her throat. You know what I mean? Like, and then she's singing.
If you haven't broken while watching this movie, that's the moment.
Yeah.
That's the moment when you're like, what universe am I in? And how can I leave?
That's true. If you make it through the first scene, the jump scene,
the horrific story,
that leaves you in tatters, and you have to kind of rebuild.
It's like irreversible.
The scene with the old lady. The scene with the old lady singing the song, though, that's when it's like it just blows you. That's like, I don't know, like the end of 2001 when you see the Star Child.
Yeah. Like no one could possibly have ever made this.
Yeah.
It's obviously some sort of existential nightmare. This old woman singing this incomprehensible song to two children we have no clue who they are during a date between two main characters. One of which is a hero midnight warrior who is...
Well, not anymore, because we have the backtrack to establish he's been dating this woman. So now after he is all famous and they give him the show and he saves this helicopter thing, he's like, I'm out. He's like, I'm out. That was dangerous. I almost got shot today.
Right. Yeah.
I'm in love. I can't get shot. I'm in love. And then that's when you start to realize that Buddy is not such a great guy. Mm-hmm. Because he says, like, Liz is watching the footage while she edits it, and she's like, you gotta make sure Nick's on board. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I heard he quit. And he's like, nobody does nothing I don't want. He says something about like ripping their hearts out. And shit.
No, he says if anyone crosses me, I will rip their heart out with my bare hands.
And then it cuts to a scene of Nick's answering machine with Buddy's assistant going, Nick, you should really answer Buddy's phone calls, which I thought was fucking hilarious.
Wouldn't he know that? Wouldn't someone else have told him that Nick quit? Wouldn't someone have proactively said, by the way, Nick, he started the conversation. It's the dog thing.
What I love is that there's a deal at all for Buddy. That like when Buddy's in that scene talking to Liz Stone at the news station, and she's like, "Well, without Nick, there's no deal." It's like, why is she talking to Buddy at all?
Yeah. Who is Buddy besides?
Isn't he just an unnecessary complication as far as she's concerned?
I mean, he doesn't know how to shoot.
He shouldn't be there anymore.
He's hanging around her office, pouring people drinks and stuff. You know, that doesn't make any sense. Buddy's just like, yeah, like he's if you leave him waiting in any room for a couple of minutes, he's like, yeah, I can set up a nice office in here.
Which kind of makes
put my phone over here. Spread my papers out over here.
It makes it all the worse because it's like as superfluous as he is when we get to what he does.
No, I know.
It's like unbelievable.
Well, that's why I want to question this to you now. Was he trying to insinuate that he hired the helicopter so that Nick's story would be interesting?
I assumed that.
You assumed it, but nothing.
Because we never have a story that explains the helicopter.
Right. No.
It's just either he was in charge of that helicopter or it was a random terrible city occurrence.
One heck of a coincidence.
Yeah, right. Where it's here's Flight of the Valkyries, and it's just
second follow-up question.
Yeah.
If he hired that helicopter to do that, now did that guy know that he was gonna die in a process of doing this for him? Why was he willing to die for Nick's career and Buddy's sort of to leech?
Well, I assume that Buddy's
Why
broke.
did he kill anyone at all? Just a helicopter flying by and taking a single pot shot at the governor. Pretty good. Yeah. Murdered 6 people.
Dude, what Matt just said though, we've established that Buddy is broke. He doesn't have. He's like a homeless man that lives in a diner. So
he rent a helicopter.
Yeah, so he paid.
And he can explode. I mean, it's gone. He got people murdered and he
in the
blew
sky.
up a fucking helicopter.
He killed maybe 18 people for a stunt to prove that Nick was a real hit. How did he convince people to do it?
There's a million questions you have to ask to get to him being able to get that helicopter in that sky with a man willing to kill people. Seriously.
Only a hero.
Dude, it'd be better if Buddy raked it with explosives. He blew the helicopter.
The cop thought he shot it, but it was just Buddy
Buddy, and he blows it up. God damn it.
I don't know.
We don't have any answers. There is no helicopter reasoning.
Yeah.
No one ever says anyone was. It was just random.
If it wasn't Buddy hiring them, what the fuck was that about?
Yeah.
We don't know. It's a plot line.
Was that why they established that the governor was kind of a heel? Was that to think that maybe someone would try to take him out?
Kill him.
But they shot at everybody else.
But they could have talked about a conspiracy in the limo where did you hear back from the helicopter boys?
Yeah.
Are they still mad?
They did so much work setting up that this was not going to be an eventful thing.
Yeah.
And then assassination.
Well, that's what Buddy says to him later. He says, I when he says I'm done, he says I'll put you on less dangerous jobs, and he even says, what's less dangerous than the groundbreaking of a government building?
You're like, so where are we now?
I didn't even know they had ceremonies for that.
Yeah, they do that. It's like cutting the ribbon.
I think Buddy was behind it.
Right.
I think he convinced people that they would make a lot of money from something, and then he blew up a helicopter after it killed a bunch of people.
It's unbelievable.
It's unconscionable. Man. It's disgusting. This movie is so depressing on an existential level.
It is.
It's really sad. It's like the whole enterprise of everyone's actions is sad beyond reason.
Yeah, and if people
we haven't even got to the end.
If people are following the plot at all, let me tell you, it takes a darker turn and a darker turn, and it's tragically, you might say. It's like if this movie was well made many years later, which it was, and it was called Nightcrawler. It's a pretty stirring tale,
Nightcrawler's awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, it ends in roughly the same idea too. At the end of Nightcrawler, it's kind of the same way this movie ends.
But that Nightcrawler, the character isn't someone you sympathize with.
Right.
It's American Psycho type of deal.
Right. You're not supposed to, but I'm saying the trajectory, the arc is very much the same.
They want us to think Nick Blanca is a hero.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I have no clue what he's done besides have sex with women.
He saved that woman from the car, which is very heroic.
It is. The cops
weren't right. It doesn't make the way.
But I still wonder: did they know that they'd made a movie where he doesn't do anything heroic in the last half, or did they think that we're still thinking of him as a hero? Because somewhere in there, it's possible that they thought they were doing like a morally ambiguous anti-hero, and they thought this was really intense, or you know what I mean? They could have thought this was really cool, edgy stuff.
I think we're putting more thought into it than they ever remotely did. Right. So.
It's just amazing to have like the save the cat moment, but we're still not sure if I like you or not.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Well, we don't even know if Buddy is at this point. We don't know how evil Buddy is exactly because, like we said, he could be responsible for the events that just happened.
Yeah,
or he couldn't.
Right.
And if he isn't, then he's just some dick who likes talking about dumb shit and butting into people's business and careers. But if he did, he's a monster. Matt dropped things. Okay.
I don't know. I couldn't tell if he was actually like insinuating that or not, but
whatever. Let's move.
We have to
move on.
Right. Okay.
Let's pretend that he did just because it actually explains it. That's the only thing.
The only thing that explains his character.
Yeah. And it makes me laugh to think about
it would be so easy for him to just have a few lines that admitted to it.
Yeah.
So we'd be like, okay, so this guy is the bad guy,
or have someone say, they were trying to take out Governor Johnson because of that deal he made with the da-da-da. You know, there could have been
like
some explanation. Yeah.
Something. Yeah, walk by a
But
TV
no, it's
talking.
nothing.
No.
It's just the helicopter explodes.
And she's like, this is good stuff, you know?
Good footage. That's all that matters.
So then that's when Buddy goes to the house, goes to Nick's house, but he's not there, and he talks to Angela, and he's all creepy with her, and he's like, tell him he needs to come back.
During the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's during the day, and he's like, tell him he needs to come back, you know, just pass the message along, blah, blah, blah. And then she doesn't. There's another montage of them, like, dating, and you were like, why are we seeing this again?
Another music video.
Yep. More
Yeah.
with the Midnight Warriors song.
It's man.
Then what are they doing? Oh, he...
You're talking about when things take a turn?
Yeah,
Back-
when things take a turn. What are they doing?
Well, they come home.
They come back to his
come
house,
back
which
to-
again still looks like my great aunt's house or something like that.
And she's like,
not two young people.
She's hungry, and he's like, well, I've planned to make you food.
And he's like, no, I'm gonna give you dinner in bed.
Man, this thing is so blindsiding. It's insane.
I kind of said something was gonna happen with her, but I didn't think this is what was gonna happen.
So she's like, I'm gonna go take a shower. So she walks in the other room. We don't see where she goes, and he goes into the fridge and pulls out a bowl of something.
No, he's got a bunch of tomatoes
Is it
and
tomatoes?
a colander. It looked like tomatoes.
meat to me. It looked like
I thought it
like
was
a
a bunch of-
meatloaf.
I thought it was either tomatoes or like red potatoes, but it's like a basket of something.
Yeah.
Something reddish.
Yeah.
And then he's at the sink and he does like some Elvis move.
Yeah.
Dude.
And then all of a sudden you hear this really oddly 80-yard like scream.
Well, you hear glass break and he looks and he kind of
he looks,
goes
yeah.
back to what he's doing, but then they do like a slow-mo reaction to fade away thing.
It fades to white, and you hear a scream that sounds like you said mechanically processed, or just like a
Like it's like an antelope screaming, and they changed it into a woman's tone
Sounds
pitch.
crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the woman that left there.
and she should be 2 rooms away from him at this point. And he's starting.
No, we're
for the other
talking like
room.
a total of 10-15 feet.
And
She stepped away from for less than a minute.
yeah, it's been tops a minute.
Yeah,
And the house is not big enough that she would be that much farther from
No,
him.
there's no way. There's
It's
no
a
way
single floor home.
that the geography of what happens doesn't make sense at all.
It's a single floor house.
So
There's not a second
so all
floor.
we see is one camera shot of him slow-mo turning around toward the camera and
Starting
running
to run.
toward the scream.
As we hear,
it's indescribable. It sounded really
It's like is a
strange.
Bigfoot getting fucking skull fucked back there? What is happening? That sound is terrible.
And that's when we cut to. We saw this woman earlier.
yeah, we didn't talk about this.
We forgot about this cop. There's this this detective,
God.
this woman. She earlier in the movie when the woman jumped off the building,
Amazing.
she was just like, "So did she say anything?" And he's like, "No," and she's like, "Yeah, well, whatever."
She's probably
a psycho.
She was a psycho.
We're like, dude, she was fucking like sexually tortured into killing herself. Oh my god, what are you
the
talking
cops
about?
in this town
They're
should be
monsters.
thrown into a blender. It's like they're terrible.
What about that woman at the burning car? Fuck her, she's dead. It's like, what? What about the rape victim? She's a psycho bitch. Forget about her. Like,
I don't have
you
time
guys,
for them.
Like, you're cops.
This is what you're supposed to do. But we're back with this woman, and she's like,
it cuts like it fades to white, and he's sitting at her desk.
Like sad.
and he goes,
Yeah.
"What did you guys find?" She's like, "There were fingerprints in the room where she was murdered." And he's like, "Whose were they?" And then she's like, "Yours." And I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You're gonna accuse him? He lives his fucking house. Yes."
So then it flashes back to a memory he's having that
Oh
he
my
couldn't
God.
possibly have.
Yeah,
which
because he
is
wasn't there for.
sort of like
Well, then she
Angela-
goes. Well, first she says, "Here, we found this at the scene as a cufflink
yeah.
that we've never seen before."
Yeah.
As the audience, we've never seen a cufflink.
Yeah.
No,
Right?
No, that's not how this goes.
Oh, okay.
John's right.
Okay,
You see
I'm
the
sorry.
flashback first.
Like,
Well,
yeah, whatever.
No,
it is.
his like imaginary.
It's not a, yeah, it can't be a
reenactment, I
flashback.
guess.
It's a
It's
omniscient flashback.
yeah.
From the point of view of God.
That shows us that Buddy snuck in and killed Angelina during the minute while she
Don't
stepped.
gloss over. He
Yeah.
holds her on a bed with his hand and stabs her violently in the neck.
Yeah.
Repeatedly.
Like it wasn't just killing her so her life ends. It was like, yeah, I want you to suffer.
But he
Yeah.
didn't see this happen though,
Yeah.
because he doesn't go. I know he did it because I saw him. He goes, "I found this cufflink. It proves he did
Right,
it."
right.
And she goes, This is a mass-produced cufflink. These are everywhere.
Well, what's funny about that
this doesn't prove anything.
When he shows the cop the cufflink, he says, "I found this in her hand," and it's like you're the guy, you're the suspect, the boyfriend of the murder victim in whose home she was murdered, and your prints are all over the room, which they should be. It's your house. And you're sitting in front of the cop's desk like a casual conversation. This isn't like he's being held.
No.
And he says, "I found this in her hand." And she doesn't say, "What the fuck are you doing taking evidence or anything?" She's
tampered with the body.
She's just like, "This was mass produced. This doesn't prove anything," you know?
Yeah, she's not like, "You tampered with evidence."
There's like no budging on any evidence. It's like, I have these photographs of him killing her.
And then an afterthought.
No, I'm looking at it. What are you saying?
And as an afterthought, she's like, "Don't leave town." And it just seems they would be, you know, if he's more than a person of interest at this point, you know?
They would be at the house scouring every ounce of that room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Her blood would be everywhere.
Yeah.
The guy who wrote it, because if it wasn't the guy playing
Satan,
Nick wrote it because he's a young kid. He doesn't know how police work works. He doesn't know what the fuck this is. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they're meeting in a diner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, whoever wrote this really doesn't know how any of the parts of it work at all.
No, they don't.
And they didn't
don't
even have a
understand,
story to tell. It's
they don't
just
understand
why...
careers or fame or like
storytelling.
Even sexual assault. They don't understand any of it. Maybe it was written by like a teenager or something, because it doesn't make any sense. So then he goes. No, then he meets with Buddy. Remember, he goes to the Buddy's room at the station, and he tells him like, "Hey,
no,
man."
he has a sad walk. He does his sad walk. Then he goes to Buddy's office.
And he says, like, "Hey, man, like, you know that..."
No, they're in a really tiny room.
It's so weird.
And he goes, "Oh, you're not set up at the diner anymore?" And he goes, "Nah, I figure I'd set up here for a while."
Here.
Where is here? What is
Where
it?
have we been anytime?
It's this tiny, barely lit room with a weird wooden table and
Can
two
you not
chairs in it.
get establishing shots of buildings? Is that hard? Sitcoms do it.
Remember in Steel where they just like showed like the St. Louis Arch and then them in a building, and you're like, okay, I guess we're in St. Louis. Like, what? Like, even that is better than this. Like, this gives you nothing. You're just instantly in a room from another room. You know what it is? It's
like they're teleporting. So he's putting on a ruse. Like, he knows that Buddy did it, but he's like, "Hey, man, I can't wait for our careers to blossom. We got places to go. And I just want to say, as a thank you, you know that car that you gave me at a pivotal moment in my life."
He bought it for him for his, like...
You bought it for him, and he's like, "I want here." And he throws the keys on the table, and he's like, "It's my gift to you thank you for everything you've done." And he's like, "You know what? When I originally got it and I was driving it to your house, I actually thought about keeping it myself. So I thank you for that."
Mm-hmm.
You know, right? That's what happened.
And he's like, "All right, cool. We're cool beans," and he leaves. And then he leaves. Then he
But
calls
you can tell,
him.
guys. I knew there was something up Nick Bronca's sleeve in this scene. I knew there was something going on here.
If
with
I
this.
know old
they
Nick
played me like a fiddle. I was like, "No, Bronca's down. He doesn't know what happened." I was.
He forgave him for the murder. He's just trying to be nice.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Thanks for killing my girlfriend. Here's a
I love
car.
that Buddy's point of view is like, "Man, this is working out great. I got this little office. I got this car back. This is incredible. You know, things are really going my way." You know.
It's insane. There's like, it all happens so fast.
And then immediately he calls Buddy and goes,
He leaves and calls him.
He leaves. Yeah, it's insane. I mean,
he like walks outside, finds a phone booth.
Why wasn't there another? Any type of scene to cut that up.
Anything would be fine. Him talking to Sam again. Sam has disappeared from the movie completely.
Yeah.
And his mother. You never see his mother again.
No, they're gone.
I know you see her once after Angelina dies.
I think you do, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, then he calls him and he goes, "Hey, I got a huge story, but I need your help. Meet me here." And he does it.
Yeah.
When
he's
it's like under a bridge or something, and then Buddy parks, and he can't. All of a sudden, the locks on the car will not unlock, and then he says, which I thought was really an irresponsible plan. He goes, "You should have never turned that car off," because he was insinuating that
it'll never start again now.
It will never start again. I was like, what if he stopped at 7-Eleven or something?
Way there,
yeah. Like he could have done a million things.
He's sitting there locked in the car.
He's just still in his driveway because he forgot his wallet.
I assumed, you guys heard me. I assumed that it was just going to show a shot of Buddy going out to the car, starts the car and it's like a casino
Explodes up,
bomb.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that is not
No.
Absolutely
at
No
all.
explosion. No nothing. We already had that. We already had the explosion.
Right.
You know, earlier
So
in the movie.
well, we do get it. Hold
Right.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he can't. Then he says, like, tells Buddy, like, "Oh, I know it was you." It was like a Fredo moment. I know it was you. You know, like, I know it was you that killed my girlfriend 90 minutes ago.
Oh, there was a Godfather reference earlier. In
There
the
was a
movie,
Godfather reference, but it was literally like that night. He went on a date. Buddy snuck into his house, murdered a woman. He goes to the cops. They don't give a shit.
They accuse him of doing it.
Then he rigs a car to only run one more time. Which means that he would have to drive it to Buddy's location, rig it there, then have the conversation with Buddy, give him the keys, and then go to the location.
No, maybe.
That's why he called him immediately, because he was like, "Oh
maybe
shit, he
rigged
might
it.
drive this home, and then I don't know what to do from there."
Maybe he rigged it so that it would. Maybe he rigged it so that it would start 2 more times, and then he drove it to Buddy's
Why would he
house.
rig it with like a remote or something? I don't know.
How did he do it? How
It
would he
doesn't
know
matter.
how to
It doesn't.
do any
It
of
doesn't explain it.
Yeah, there's no.
He's a cameraman. How can he rig a car's electrical system
Bob.
to work?
Bob, he's a hero.
I know.
He's a hero.
He took out a plane with a camera. I know, or a helicopter. So Buddy's like, no, don't. Whatever you're gonna do, don't. I can.
The girl he loved
does
so
admit
much that he only boned one woman while he was dating
While
her.
he was dating her, right?
He's got to avenge her death. So yeah, he sets up this plan, but it doesn't happen. There's no explanation as to how he had the
How
time
it-
to do it or how he.
Right.
Yeah, the logistics
didn't
of
just-
it.
He's doing
There
it
was
the
no
way he's
Chekhov's
doing
gun with like him knowing automobiles or anything.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true. It's brought up.
Yeah.
It's brought up very late in the movie. Like they could have brought that up much earlier. The fact that he's kind of a car nut. You know.
The fact that even Buddy gave him a car.
Yeah.
They don't even talk about it until this part of the movie.
You don't see it until he pulls up in it. In
Yeah,
that
it's awesome. I
It's
thought it was
talked
gonna
about
be
3 times prior.
He
You don't
drives
see
this
it.
big weird like
Like
Deuce
old-timey
coupe.
car.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks like a
And
Plymouth.
I thought
yeah.
it was gonna be the Deuce coupe,
Yeah.
and then he pulls up in this other car, and it's like.
Well, no, they talk about it how he doesn't
It's-
drive
it's the
it. It only
Midnight
has
Blue
22
Continental,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's got 22 miles.
But why
on
not
it.
just make the car he doesn't drive?
Right, since he already drives an antique car. You're right.
Because you know why? Because they couldn't blow up that car.
Yeah.
Nope.
They found a car that he could blow
So,
up.
question here: why does he take him to that particular place to film like? Meet me in the secluded
Yeah,
location.
he pulls up and then
so I
a
can
camera's
film
recording.
me murdering you.
Yeah.
He also set up a wireless headset mic that connected to the car's sound system, which I thought was interesting, where you could hear him and talk to him through the car.
It's really
through the headset.
There's a lot of advanced shit for a guy who's an
'cause even
idiot.
there's a point where he's like, "I know you can hear me." And I
Would
was
it,
like,
would it have
"What?"
killed him to have Sam in that scene, like wiring something up or something? You know, just give Sam something.
Yeah,
to
Sam
do.
would know what
Sam,
to
would
do.
you like
Yeah.
to help me murder someone? He's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I film people getting killed all the time. I'm totally desensitized.
Let's kill Buddy.
do
All right.
this."
The
Yeah,
guy's
we've
a
established
fucking
I'm a
loser.
piece of shit. I'll help you.
I'm morally bankrupt.
Yeah.
Fuck it, man.
And so he has a camera set up to film the car.
With Buddy in it,
Right.
and
then-
then Buddy can't get out. The locks are rigged. The car won't
How
start
does he
again.
blow it up? What does he do? Does he set it on fire? I can't even
He has like a
remember.
remote, doesn't he?
I think it's a remote.
It's just a remote that
Yeah,
blows up.
yeah.
God, what a fucking lame, stupid thing.
And it blows up.
And then it
That
cuts.
Buddy's dead. Her death is avenged, and now you would think, and now good can reign upon the earth of
Yeah.
the city. But no, it just cuts to a scene of him being the new Buddy.
back in the diner at the
Like,
same fucking table.
Wait, so a guy killed your girlfriend for your career,
Yeah.
and your thing is to murder him on camera and become him.
and then do his job, which is kind of we've proved to be superfluous throughout the movie.
And it's not clear. He didn't like get Buddy's confession on the
He
tape.
did say, "I
he
did
did
it
say
for
I
you."
did it for you, right? But he didn't do a very good job
did it
of
for
getting
your
the confession. So
career,
at this
but-
point,
he
he's
was already blowing his car up.
he's
Regardless,
still a murder suspect. Is my point. He's now murdered
Yeah.
someone else and filmed it. But
Yeah,
he's,
why film it?
yeah.
Why not have Buddy say the helicopter thing in the
Yeah.
car?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry about the helicopter. I'm sorry that I rigged. You know,
I'm
just say
sorry I
anything.
stabbed your girlfriend. Yeah, he didn't. It's very confusing. I love it, sort of.
And then ends with him being the new Buddy in the diner, and that's
Which
the
makes
end.
little to no
with like a crew working under him. He's got new guys coming in. He's giving guys different
It just feels
sectors
like
Why
and-
would he
The
feel-
non-hero now is a complete villain.
Yeah.
Who has nothing in his life
Yeah.
in a city that's filled with shit.
just like Nightcrawler.
Right. Well,
that is one way that is very strange because Nightcrawler does again.
It's a depressing ending.
It's like it ends with him successful.
Spoilers on Nightcrawler.
Well, I won't say too much, but it ends with a character successful in a way that shows that they're losing their soul or that their soul is fully gone.
Right. Yeah.
Which makes this movie seem deeper than it was, but they were trying to do that. I mean, they did end the movie with the hero basically
think they knew what they were trying
being
to do,
the hollowed out villain at the end. You know, that is how it ends. So maybe they thought they were doing something with some depth to it. I don't know.
I don't know what anyone was doing.
Okay, so here's another question I have. After all that, did Christmas ever really occur in the movie?
I think Christmas was the magic trick. That had to have been like a Christmas Eve party, right?
Dude, yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know, man.
It looked like they were. That was a Christmas Eve party. Let's
You're
just
right.
say
There
it
was Christmas. This movie had Christmas around it.
It was Christmassy.
It was Christmas-ish.
Yes.
Adjacent. It's Christmas adjacent.
Shane Black. Somebody was like, "I want to be Shane Black now."
It's sort of like what was it? Never Ending Story 3, where it's Halloween just occurs in the movie. Like all of a sudden, someone's
it's not
like,
a Halloween movie. It
today's
just occurs
Halloween.
during.
And you're like, no, there's a build-up. That's a holiday. There's
Yeah.
a build-up to Halloween. You don't just go, oh, by the way, today's Halloween, kids. 15 minutes before the end of the movie.
That happens in movies. It's fine.
Yeah.
Son-in-law, right?
Right. But this was almost like the
It's a
2 weeks that
Thanksgiving
they were
movie.
filming,
right.
there just happened to be Christmas decorations up everywhere. You know, that's what this felt like. It didn't feel like they tried
They
to
were
create...
filming during
That's what I'm
Christmas.
saying, yeah.
And it just okay.
Yeah, make it a Christmas movie.
It's for no one. It's not
really
even
is not.
It's
enjoyable.
almost not even a movie.
It's really
It's
not.
got 3 music videos in it.
Mm-hmm.
All of them are awful. I don't know. I don't know.
It's hard to recommend. I mean, if you
It's one of the worst PM Entertainment movies ever.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely
That we've
one of the worst
watched.
we've
Yeah.
I'm glad I could be here for it.
I don't know, if you want to just be appalled by the opening scene, you don't really have to invest much to do that. It's like a few minutes, and it's definitely appalling. But yeah, maybe not ever watch this one. I don't think. I don't know.
Watch Nightcrawler instead.
Right, Nightcrawler's a great movie.
Definitely a better version of it.
If you want to waste your time, you can download the Movie Schmovie bonus disc double feature of Santa Buddies and Midnight Warrior.
Release his a 2-pack CD, so like
Jesus God, that's the worst night of anyone's life is watching those 2 movies together.
I don't know. I'm kind of fascinated at this point by the whole Christmas mythos.
That's true. They're both Christmas movies. I didn't even think of that.
It's a Christmas holiday 2-pack.
It's the Movie Schmovie bonus this Christmas duo pack. Or whatever.
Right. Do you think we could get them to let us like issue a version that has this as the commentary?
Right. And Ronald's episode, right?
Yeah.
It's just like here.
Might be harder to get
Disney.
Disney's probably not going to be on.
Well, they're not making any money off Bud anymore. So.
No, right.
Yeah, but PM Entertainment follows you on Twitter now, so like,
it's true.
Just get that ball
when I
rolling.
post this, they'll be excited.
They will be. Get that ball.
Assuming that that's them.
It's like the legit official.
I don't know who else would call themselves PM Video and only put up videos of the movies. I guess an ardent fan. Anyway,
John
John
had that website or YouTube channel.
I did have that. John, do you have anything you like to plug?
You just mentioned Movie Schmovie.
Yeah.
That's another movie podcast that I'm on and has past and possibly future guest Ronald as one of my co-hosts and our buddy Steve, and it's
who'll never be on the show.
I
know. I'm just.
I meant to invite Steve. I will eventually. It's
But that comes out every 2 weeks, pretty much. So you can find us on any podcatcher that you like.
Podcatcher, is that a word?
Well, that's what you call those apps that people use. All the I think we're on all the big ones, but I think it's getting easier and easier to just find your app and then put in the URL. For the feed. So that's Movie Schmovie.
I like that episode you guys did recently where you had the time machine.
That was fun. Yeah,
that was pretty fun.
We never really explained how we emerged from the space-time continuum on the show. So I was thinking it would be fun if we did like an episode that puts us in the wrong, like maybe sometime in the future or something, and we're talking about sequels that don't exist or something. But
that'd be pretty funny.
It's too meta.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing. I mean, when we have Steve on this, we got to find some horrid movie to put him through, so that the movie schmovie thing can continue.
Maybe we should watch fucking Fungicide with him.
Oh Jesus, that's a mushroom. It's a mushroom slasher movie with sentient mushrooms. It's abomination.
Is it a Christmas film?
Oh yeah, it needs to be a Christmas film. Whenever we watch, Steve needs to watch a Christmas film, so we can have the triple feature.
The titular fungicide uncles monsters or whatever are either really bad CG or no lie, like people holding travel shower curtains around themselves.
And when he says CG, it's like this is a shot on VHS movie from like 1993, and it's somebody using their computer to make the CG.
So, wow,
it's something else.
So, in other words, it's amazing.
Yeah, it sounds incredible.
It's absolutely.
Let's just throw it on. I'll stick around.
Yeah, we're gonna do another pass of Midnight Warrior, and then we'll watch Fun.
And then we're gonna record the
then
real
you can
episode.
go home.
Okay.
Yeah, this has been. I can finally turn on this recorder, and then we can enjoy it.
Oh, good. Well, actually, this was like a practice run, right?
Just get it out of the system, and then the real pass. But until then, thanks, John.
Oh, sure.
Yes, thank you.
Midnight Warrior, Amazon Prime. I'm sorry. Bye.
You've just listened to Bonus Disc, available only on Thundergrunt. Questions, complaints, and movie suggestions can be posted to facebook.com/bonusdisc. Opinions and criticisms of the hosts of Bonus Disc are 100% valid, even though they took the time to watch the movies you were too ignorant to appreciate.